welcome to Central. Yeah, if you're watching online, welcome. Why don't you all stand and sing? Heaven thundered and the world was born. Life begins and ends in the dust you formed. Faith commanded and the mountains moved. Fear is losing ground to our hope in you. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Freedom conquered, all our chains undone. Sin defeated, Jesus has overcome. Mercy triumphed when the third day dawned. Darkness was denied when the storm was gone. Oh, unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Let's all put our hands together. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. Let's sing that together. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Unstoppable God, let your nothing can stop you when you move. Oh, Jesus. Oh, yes. Oh, move in me. Peace, bring it all to peace. The storm surrounding me, let it break. At your name, still, call the sea to still, the rage in me to still, every wave. At your name, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. Breathe, call these bones to live, call these lungs to sing once again. I will praise Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. Sing it again. Oh, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, Jesus, Jesus.
Jesus, your name equals more. Your name equals more light. Your name equals more love. Your name equals more peace. Your name equals more hope in our hearts, in our minds, in our lives today. Whatever you're going through today, Jesus came so that you could have more. Our God saw that as humans, we weren't living the best life He designed for us. So then came Jesus. And Jesus stepped in as a human, as a God. And He came and He showed us a better way. He showed us how we can live with love. He showed us how we could have peace and how we can have hope. So I don't know what you're going through today. I don't know what you need. Maybe you need healing in your body. Maybe there's something going on in your life that you can't control, or you've tried so hard to make it work, but you can't do it on your own. This might be a little weird for you, maybe a bit different, but if you are going through circumstances like that, can you just whisper His name right now? If you feel comfortable, would you just whisper it? Would you just even whisper it under your breath? Because that's, even whispering His name has that much power. Jesus, when we have no strength, Jesus, when we have no hope, Jesus, when there is no peace, Jesus. So Jesus, we call out to you. Some of us with authority, believing, knowing, because we've seen your faithfulness, and others, we're so broken that all we can do is whisper your name. But no matter what, your name is being spoken here today. Jesus, we're calling on you. We're asking you, our loving God, to step into our situation and give us more of what we need, more of what you give. Jesus. Amen. We don't usually take this time to be this quiet, and sometimes that's exactly what we need. Thanks for singing. Thanks for singing this name out with us today. Why don't you go ahead and grab a seat as we continue in our experience.
Good morning. Welcome to Central this morning. Whether you're here with us or joining us online, we are really, truly happy that you're here. My name's Jen. I'm your host this morning. And I don't know about you, but whenever I see little recap videos of that was a baptism service that we had about 2 weeks ago here at Central. I'm just filled with such an excitement and joy because all of those people represent lives changed Baptism here is when you're old enough to decide on your own that you want to follow Jesus and want to make that public. It's a symbol of dying to ourselves and rising again to new life, coming out of the water and choosing new life. And so that's something really excited. And that's a big part of why our family loves being here at Central, because that's really the heartbeat of our church, to help others get to know Jesus. Whether you have no idea who he is, whether you're kind of skeptical and have a lot of questions that you need answered first, whether you're further along in your journey and you've been a Christ follower for a while, we are excited to see you take more steps towards Jesus and to that amazing relationship that's just filled with hope. And so that's something that we're excited about here. And if you are new here, we would love to connect with you briefly. If you're online, you can click new here, and the online pastor would love to chat with you a bit. If you're here today, we'd also love to connect with you. There's a little card right in front of you that's blue, says connect on it. You could fill that out. You can either put it in the basket that's going to come by shortly, or you can go to the blue wall in the lobby after the service and hand it in to a volunteer. We'd love to just give you a little gift to say thanks for coming this morning and to connect with you once this week to see if there's any way that we can better serve you. So with that, I'm going to invite our host to come down as we give together this morning. Again, if you're new here, please feel no obligation to give. This is something that we do as a church family. And if you are a regular giver here, take a look at the screens for the different ways that you can do that. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've had a great start to my summer. It has been busy. I spent the last week with my family, which is a family of 7 in a one-room cabin with no air conditioning and lots of preteens. So that was a hot week, but I think nothing says summer like a lot of bug bites and sun and swimming, of course. So it was a lot of fun and a good start to the summer. But looking into the fall already, we have something exciting to kind of pump you up, because fall is another busy season where a lot of stuff are getting going. So we want you to be able to take a moment to laugh. We have some people coming called the Skit Guys, which are 2 best friend comedian basically. They talk about God and they're really funny, kind of like Christian comedians. Great time. That's going to be September 16th at 6 p.m. It is a ticketed event, so grab some friends, decide ahead of time, put it in your calendar so you can come out on that day. You can get tickets online at centralcc.ca. We also have a podcast, so you can stay connected with us over the summer and into the fall. Or maybe you want to hear the message again and just really let it sink in. So you can check that out by searching Central Community Church on iTunes or Spotify. And lastly, we are kicking off a brand new series this morning, which I'm really excited about. It's been great. It's all about chasing your dreams. It's called Chase the Lion, and it's based off this book. We do have it available. A lot of times people want to dig a little deeper during the week or are really impacted by the words each Sunday, and you might want to do some personal reflecting. So you can purchase this book in the cafe, Chase the Lion, for $25. And on that note, I'm going to direct your eyes back to the screens as we continue, or start rather, our sermon series called Chase the Lion.
Well, good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing? Awesome. Well, it's not Pastor Bill. Same good looks, just a little shorter. And but I know. His daughter got married yesterday, and so he is spending the next couple weeks celebrating, and just he is so excited. It was just awesome, just seeing such smiles on their face. Well, again, thank you so much for coming. I know summertime we have a lot of guests, And so, yeah, this is just awesome that I have the awesome opportunity to be able to come and share with you this morning. My name is John Paul. I'm the family pastor here, and I get to spend time pouring into children and youth and young adults in our context, and it's just honestly such an awesome privilege. I was just talking with my wife the other day. It has been now 8 years that I've called Central Community Church home, which is awesome. And yeah, when we first came, my wife was pregnant with our middle daughter, Addison, and so I just asked her, how old are you again? 8. Yeah, I've been here for 8 years, which is awesome. So, but thank you. It's just honestly been an awesome privilege serving under Pastor Bill's vision. He is just an incredible, incredible man of God, and it has been the best job that I've ever had in my life, and it's just honestly amazing. And so, as Jen mentioned, we are starting a new series on a book called Chase the Lion, and it is phenomenal. It really is a great book. It talks about how we all have dreams and how we are to chase after the lions in our life that are stopping us from accomplishing those dreams. Because the reality is, when the picture of a lion goes through the cortex of our eyes and into our brain, there's one word that comes. Anyone know? Run. Run away. But lion chasers don't operate that way. They actually chase after the lion, go after the roar. I know, pretty crazy. But there is an actual manifesto that is part of the book that gives a great explanation of what the book is really all about and what this series is about. And I actually want to read it for you today just to start off our message. Quit living as if the purpose of life is to arrive safely at death. Run to the roar. Set God-sized goals. Pursue God-ordained passions. Go after a dream that is destined to fail unless God intervenes. Stop pointing out problems. Become part of the solution. Stop repeating the past and start creating the future. Face your fears. Fight for your dreams. Grab opportunity by the mane and don't let go. Live like today is the first and the last day of your life. Burn sinful bridges. Blaze new trails. Live for the applause of nailed, scarred hands. Don't let what's wrong with you keep you from worshiping what's right with God. Don't try and be who you aren't. Be yourself. Laugh at yourself. Dare to fail. Dare to dream. Dare to be different. Chase the lion. Woo! Now, when I read that, I think, that's awesome. That ain't me. Anyone else there? You're like, wow, that's fantastic, John Paul. Great job. Not me. There's actually a man by the name of Craig Bush. He has a show that he actually lives with lions. He goes into fields that he's raised them, and they embrace each other with music in the background. It's great. What? No, thank you. To give you a bit of an understanding of how I operate, a few years ago, I was leading a trip to Seattle. We were trying to see some other ministries down there. And usually, I've been always taught that when you're leading a trip, you run from danger. So if there's danger looming, you run from it. You don't chase after it. You actually go around it. You protect the flock. You do all that. So we're walking around in downtown Seattle, fairly safe place. And all of a sudden, you hear screaming from a young lady. Help me, help, in the middle of the street. And we turn the corner and we see this man. His arms are around the woman's neck in the middle of the street. And right away, my pastoral instinct and caring, loving nature comes into play. And I think, okay, we got to get out of here. Let's move. So as we turn, my good friend, we love them all, Johnny Henderson, is running towards the danger. So I turn and Johnny's like, let her go. Just picture that, running towards the danger. He breaks them apart. The girl goes on the floor. He's like, are you okay? This guy runs. And she's like, I'm okay. Go get him. So Johnny's now chasing, true story, people, chasing the man. Downtown Seattle, I have no idea where we are. I'm trying to protect the other flock. I'm saying, guys, don't move. So now I'm like, well, now I got to protect Johnny. So I'm chasing Johnny. Johnny's chasing this guy. He gets lost in the mix. Tons of people there, doesn't know where he is. Finds a police officer, and he goes to the police officer, and he's huffing and puffing. He says, there's a guy trying to choke out this girl, and I don't know where he is. And the officer says, all right, let's try and look for him. So Johnny's looking for him, and he's running, and then a car almost hits Johnny. And Johnny's like, stop! And the police officer thought he was pointing at that guy. So the police officer gets out of the car, he's like, freeze! And Johnny's like, no, wrong guy! So he runs, a true story. I'm not joking. He pulls up to the police officer and he's like huffing and puffing. He goes, I don't know what to do. And the police officer looks at him, he says, find me the bad guy. And Johnny's like, this is amazing! So he goes around the corner and he sees the guy around the corner, and so he goes against the wall and he says, white hat, coat, all around the corner. And the police officer goes, woo, woo, and arrests him. And Johnny's like, this is the best. And they look at Johnny and they say, you're my hero. So let's give it up for Johnny Henderson, everybody. A true lion chaser. I ain't like that. Naturally, when I see danger, I just have this protective nature to run the other way. I want to protect myself. And so how do we go from that to this incredible manifesto that I want to believe? I want to live this way. I want to chase after lions. I want to chase after my dreams. I don't want to be afraid of anything. I want to leap over whatever it takes. I want to go after it, but my nature is like, ugh. And so I want you to turn, if you have your Bibles, to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. Also turn to your app if you have that, the Life Church app for the Bible. It's awesome. If you don't, no worries. It'll be on the screens as well. Ephesians 2:10 says this: for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Here's the truth about each and every one of us that I believe. Inside of us is this goal to do good things. We have desires and dreams in the depths of who each of us are. We were created in Christ Jesus as God's handiwork. He created us with this desire, this deep desire to do good works. I believe that with all my heart. Because when I hear a message, or when I hear something or somebody do great things inside of me, I think, yes, that's me. When the Leafs signed Jonathan Tavares, I'm thinking, yes, that's what I want to be. And it's this deep longing to do great things. So what's the challenge? It's in me. Why can't I do things? It's this 4-letter word that I struggle with. It's called fear. Fear paralyzes me when I begin to think about the reality of trying to accomplish those dreams that God has placed inside of me. When I begin to think, how am I going to accomplish this? It's easier to just kind of live day to day and not really put effort into thinking about those dreams. Psychologists said that we are only born with 2 fears, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else is learned. All those other fears, spiders, dark water. That's mine, sorry. Who likes jumping in a lake where you don't see the bottom? No, thank you. The seaweed touches your toes and you think it's an alligator. Anyone else there? Come on, really? Oh, okay, whatever. No alligators here, I guess. You see, I grew up in a home, both my parents at 16 years old, left their home in Italy to come to Canada at 16 years old. They had nothing. They didn't know anything about Canada. They just knew that they had a dream and a desire to one day, whatever family was going to come, provide a better life for them. That's it. At 16 years old. If you're 16 here, can you imagine leaving your home with nothing, going to a new country to start a life for a family that you don't even have yet? You're just on your own. And that was them. They were fearless. They just had this incredible attitude and mindset of doing these amazing things. Well, when they came to Canada, my dad and mom didn't know each other. They met in Toronto. And my dad's mindset was simple. Get a job, make money, provide for your family. That's it. When I go to my dad, I said, Dad, I have a dream. It make money? I said, well, maybe. No, not good. I said, okay. That was my dad, when he first came, within a week, he found a job downtown Toronto. He worked the same job his whole life. He retired a few years ago. He worked over 45 years at the same place, working the same hours, long hours, did it. And his number one goal, he showed us that he loved us by providing for us. That was it. My dad didn't have these elaborate dreams. He just simply lived a simple life and wanted to provide for his family, and that's it. My mom, on the other hand, was the opposite. She took Ephesians 2:10 to heart, and she had incredible dreams. When she came here, she had a grade 5 education, and she wanted to learn English. So after she watched us and provided for our family, at nighttime, she went to school and learned English. She got as many jobs as she can. She babysat. She learned how to sew. She did everything she possibly could. She had dreams and desires. One of her desires was that our home would be a home that welcomed people no matter where they were in their walk in life, no matter what. I am not kidding. I would come home some days, go in my room, and someone was living in my room. Mom, when I left this morning, it was my room. Now, it belongs to a 60-year-old lady. How is this possible? Because my mom's heart was Ephesians 2:10. She realized that she was created to do good works, and every ounce of who she was reached out to people. So if somebody came and she found out that they needed a place to stay, I slept on the couch, they slept in my room. And that's how we were raised. We would have random people over all the time. Sundays lunch were filled with people all the time, people I didn't even know. And I'm not talking for the weekend. For 6 months at a time, for 8 months at a time, our home was like that. And we didn't have a lot growing up, but she made what we had work. She had these dreams. She knew that everything inside of her, that God had empowered her to do good works for other people. Her dreams were to make the dreams of other people come true. And hundreds of people were impacted by her. Hundreds of people. Yeah, it's awesome. So where did that put me? I mean, John Paul, you were raised in this family. That's fantastic. Well, there's a problem. I was the youngest of 3 children. Any youngest here in the house? You don't always get the best. Usually the first child gets everything. They're the prize child. Oh. The middle child, I apologize, just whatever. And then and then there's the youngest, sort of like, oh, yeah, that'll do. That's wonderful. So, my sister, she would come home with 80s and 90s, and my parents were like, you could do better. My other sister, 70s. Me, I'd pass. They're like, that's amazing. Let's buy John Paul a car. That's so proud of you. So I was never motivated in the depths of who I am, so I lived a mediocre life. I kind of went day by day, didn't really have dreams. I knew there was things inside of me. I saw the way my mom ran our house, and I thought, man, I would love to one day do that. But yeah, it was okay. It wasn't really something that was burning in me. I was just kind of living day by day. I settled for an okay life. Well, when I turned 19 years old, a gentleman who's a mentor of mine came into my life and saw something in me that I didn't see for myself. And I remember sitting down with him on one of the first occasions that we met, and he said, John Paul, just tell me about your dreams. I said, well, man, last night somebody was chasing me. I didn't know what to. He goes, no, not. You ever have those and you just run so slow? You're like, why can't I run fast? I'm slow in real life too, so I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just reality. And I'm like, and he's like, no, what are your desires? What do you want to do with your life? I don't know, survive, get a job one day. He goes, well, don't you have dreams or desires? And I thought, no. And he began for the next 6 months just pouring into my life every time we met, bringing stuff out that he believed that God had placed inside of me. Desires and things that I didn't even know. And all of a sudden, I began to realize and tap into what God had placed inside of me. This desire, ultimately, what my mom poured into me, what God had created in me to help people. And I didn't know what that looked like. And so one night a bunch of us were just sitting down watching a movie. And that movie of choice was The Lion King. Ah. And I wish I had my son hold him up. I'm watching this, and I've watched it a dozen times before. But something in the movie this time brought me to tears. We're watching Lion King, and I'm bawling my eyes out. Everyone's like, it's okay, man. He's okay at the end of the movie. Don't worry. And there's a part of the movie where Simba, sorry, if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, but who are you if you haven't watched Lion King? Like, really? Come on, really, right? Has anybody not watched The Lion King? Okay, perfect. And so there's a part in the movie where Simba, he's running away from his calling. He's the next king in line, but because of something that happened, he didn't want to be it. And so he had settled for a life where he was like, this is great life. I'll just kind of do whatever I can. Don't worry about it. And all of a sudden, he's reminded about who he was meant to be. And he looks in his reflection and he sees his father and he's reminded, Simba, you're a king. What are you doing living this life? And he's in the middle of a field, and this is the line that grabbed me to the core. It's his dad, and he looks at Simba and he says, Simba, you are more than what you have become. You are more than what you have become. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, man, I have settled for this life. Yet I know in the depths of who I am, there's more. There's more to what I'm doing. There's more. And I began to study the Word of God, and I began to really see the life of Jesus and how he was called to this greatness, and he's called us to greatness, to live dreams and to go after God, to go after God-sized dreams. And what really changed my heart in that moment was the dreams were great for me. It was awesome. But there was something more to the dreams that God had placed in me. It was actually for other people. So the dreams, me walking in the life that I have been called to, will help me, but more importantly, will help other people around me. And my motivation changed because now it wasn't only, okay, yeah, I want to live a good life. It was, man, people are relying on me to live out my dreams. And I thought back to my mom, and I thought, yeah, her living out her dreams helped hundreds of people along the way. And today, I stand in the truth that you and I and the dreams that God has created us to be will actually, when lived out, will help people around us. I wanted to dedicate my life to helping people. I wanted to expand the life that my parents gave me. I wanted to live in that legacy that my mom had carried growing us up. I wanted my life to be worth something. But yet, fear continued to boggle my mind, to continue to block me. Anytime I wanted to do something and I stepped out, a lion came my way and I ran. I said, nope, not worth it. Yeah, let's try this. Yeah, great idea. This is good. This is working out. A lion would come. Nah, it's not worth it. I'm going to skip today. Yeah. And it was challenging to me. And so I just prayed and said, God, what do you want me to do? I have these dreams. I had a book of dreams. I have a book of dreams. And I'd write them down, and none of them would come to pass. I said, God, I need help. And I'm trying to do it on my own. And he brought me to this story of David, King David, and his mighty men. So King David was called to be king. He was anointed to be king when he was young, really young. Out of all his brothers, everybody thought it was going to be somebody else, but yet God chose him. Not because of the way he looked on the outside, but because of something inside of him, who he was. He was called to be king. And he lived his life, and all of a sudden, one day, something happened. The current king, Saul, tried to kill him. And he thought, this is not worth it, I'm going to run. And for 8 years, David, who was meant to be king, was running and hiding in caves. So here's David, supposed to be king, supposed to do what God had placed this desire inside of him, but yet he was running away. He was running. So what did David do? Something incredible, and it spoke to my heart again. And I want it to be part of what I believe we need to do as well today. He surrounded himself with people, with lion chasers. He surrounded himself with people that were fearless, that were not afraid to chase after lions. The Bible calls them his mighty men. They say there was between 30 and 40 of these men who David surrounded himself with, who encouraged him along the way to go after the dreams that God had placed in him. Now, I want to talk about one in particular by the name of Benaiah. It's found in 1 Chronicles 11:22. This is what it says. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, a valiant fighter from Kabzeel, performed great exploits. He struck down Moab's 2 mightiest warriors. He also went down into a pit on a snowy day and killed a lion. So what did David do? David made him his bodyguard. Good choice, David. Can I have your resume? Killed a lion on a snowy day. Fantastic, you're in. You got the job. Here was a real lion chaser, somebody who was fearless, not afraid to go after the dreams that David had. And I can just imagine while they were in those caves and the mighty men were around him and Benaiah was there and said, David, let's do this. Today's the day. We're gonna make you king. And David looking down and saying, I can't do it today. I know it's what it's supposed to be, but I can't. No, let's do this. All right, let's go. And they go, and then something happens, and all of a sudden he's discouraged, and the mighty men gather around him again. No, David, you can do this. You can do this. And so I took this idea and I thought, man, I need people in my life who believe in my dream, who can take what I have and help me. True lion chasers. In those moments when I'm discouraged, in those moments when I'm down, in those moments when I forgot what God had called me to, that I have people in my life who can encourage me and say, John Paul, you can do it. 6 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And the prognosis wasn't good at all. They gave her 18 months to live. And in our family, we had never faced this trial. Again, my mom was this incredible, healthy woman. She loved life. She had an incredible, strong faith. She did everything she possibly could, but yet she had this diagnosis. And if you've ever been part of that or in that season or known somebody, it changes. It changes everything about how you relate to someone. It changes how you have conversations. And from that moment, I just remember being in a daze and sitting with my mom and just saying, Mom, what do we do here? 18 months. Like, what does this mean? And I remember from day one, my mom said, John Paul, God has got this in control. No matter what happens, God is here, and I know that there's a plan that God has. And so we went through a lot of trials, and 18 months turned into 2 years, turned into 3 years, turned into 4 years. And we had this incredible relationship where our conversations went from just casual to deep. When you know somebody has a limited time frame, all of a sudden you don't just want to waste the minutes with them. You okay, let me ask you questions. How did you, or why did you, or where did this come from? How do you make that pasta? You know, the one that you turn, and how do you do that, Mom? And she taught me, those cookies, with the honey, please teach me that. And we had some incredible moments, but one day, I remember sitting down with her, probably about 2 years ago, and I said, Mom, I want my home, my physical home, to be just like what we had growing up. I want my home to be open to people. I want, if somebody's in need of a place to stay, I don't even want to second guess. Just say, yes, come on in. I want my dinner table to be filled with people, and I want people when they come in to just have a real joy. And so my mom and I just talked about what her motivation was and how she did that. And she looked at me and said, John Paul, when I read the life of Jesus, I see that he dedicated his life to serving people. How can I do anything less? As a follower of Jesus, I want to live my life serving people as well. And so when I look at our bills and I look at our groceries and I think, okay, how am I going to do this? I just remember that and I say, God, you called me and given me a dream to help people. And so I just trust in you. And so, man, we had some great dreams. And so one day we sat down and I said, Mom, help me dream about what this looks like in reality. And she says, well, John Paul, why don't you build a house? Why don't you build a house that can live out your dream? A place that is beautiful and a place that is open with lots of rooms that you can house people. And I looked at her, I said, Mom, I know we're Italian, but come on, really? I'm a pastor. I'm not a builder. I don't design things. I can't just call one day and be like, hey, actually, you probably can. And but she said, no, like, what does it look like? So we actually drew some stuff out, and what does it look like? And as her health deteriorated, this dream of mine became deeper and deeper, and we actually put some feet to it, and my wife and I planned out and said, okay, what would it look like as a legacy to my mom if we built a place that was open, that was just open for people, that we dedicated to God and said, God, this is not our house. This is not brick and mortar and shingles and windows. This is a place that is meant to help people. What does that look like? And we began that process, but still, yet fear kind of came in the way. And, you have those dreams and you have great plans and you're like, but finances and bills and resources and timing, and I don't know if it's going to work, and those dreams begin to fade. Well, on October 5th, my mom passed away. She lived a fantastic life, and the last 5 years of her life were phenomenal. And I remember those last few days when we talked about the dream, and she looked at me and said, John Paul, you make sure you go after your dreams. You go after what God has placed inside of you. And I said, Mom, I believe that so strongly. And so she passed away, and her funeral was a few days later, and I got a phone call on that day. I didn't recognize the number, and so I left a message, and so later on that day I called, and I got the message, and it was our builder, and said, hey, John Paul, we're going to start digging tomorrow. The next day after my mom had passed, they started digging. And for the last eight months, my wife and I have been building our dream. And it has not come without its lions. But one of the things that I did was I surrounded myself with people who believed in my dream, who looked at our house beyond the brick and the mortar, but saw the vision behind it. And two particular gentlemen who I've been meeting with every week for the last couple of years. And Tuesdays or Thursdays, we sit down together, and for about an hour, we just pray together. I share my dream. I talk about the lions. They share their dreams. They talk about their lions. But these two individuals are lion chasers. I don't know what my life would be without them. And they are fearless when it comes to going after God's dreams. And so we went after that, and they've helped me. And along the way, here's what's amazing. I designed our house, and I built our house, and through God's incredible creativity was able to actually have something. And we've dedicated it to God and said, God, this is not our home. And so we're not 100% sure what it's going to look like. But yet we know that it's fully dedicated to God because we want God to be able to use it fully. And my son, who's awesome, he's 10 years old, came up to me. He goes, Dad, what if we put a sign on the front that said, free dinner? No joke. He said, free dinner and stay for Bible study. Like, isn't that awesome? And I said, Judah, that's incredible. That's absolutely amazing. And we prayed into it. We pray as a family and say, God, whatever you want, you use. And if that means to house people, if that means to have people over who don't, we want our place to be a place where people feel like they belong. And so today, I want to ask you a question. Maybe you're here and you've never dreamt. I know a few years ago when we had young kids, our dream was make sure our kids survive the day. That was our dream because it was so busy, and we were like, okay, what are we going to do with this? Okay, yeah, good, fantastic, love you, man. And maybe you have dreamed, and for whatever reason, the lions have come in, and you've allowed that fear to paralyze you, and you haven't stepped into it. But today, I want you to think, and over this next month, what is the biggest dream that you could dream of right now? Just write it down. Maybe something you've always thought about, but you've never really put feet to it. Something maybe you've never done before. You're like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And when you think about that, what's that first fear that comes into your mind? Maybe it's resources, maybe it's ideas, maybe you have no creativity behind it. Maybe your thought is, I don't know if this is a God thing or if this is just me. And third, who are the lion chasers that are in your life that can help you accomplish that dream? Because I believe we are called as a family to do things together. That we're not meant to be islands or left alone, but yet we are meant to live together and to be together and to dream together. And so over this next month, I would love as a family or yourself, friends, gather together and just talk about those things. Every time you come to here to hear the message over this next month, to really bring those ideas and those thoughts and those dreams to here. So here's what I want to do just to end today. Right at the beginning, we read this manifesto that was awesome, and it's really good. And I would love if we could read that together to end our time today. Do you mind if you're able to stand up as we read this together? It'll be on the screen. And I would love if with all passion and excitement inside of you, speaking to those dreams that are in your heart, that you would speak this manifesto over those dreams together. So let's read it together. Quit living as if the purpose of life is to arrive safely at death. Run to the roar. Set God-sized goals. Pursue God-ordained passions. Go after a dream that's destined to fail unless God intervenes. Stop pointing out problems. Become part of the solution. Stop repeating the past and start creating the future. Face your fears. Fight for your dreams. Grab opportunity by the mane and don't let go. Live like today is the first day and the last day of your life. Burn sinful bridges. Blaze new trails. Live for the applause of nail-scarred hands. Don't let what's wrong with you keep you from worshiping what's right with God. Don't try to be who you aren't. Be yourself. Laugh at yourself. Dare to fail. Dare to dream. Dare to be different. Chase the lion. Yeah. And so today I want to bless you with the truth that you are meant to dream God-sized dreams. I want to bless you with the truth that inside each and every one of you, there is this idea that we are meant and created as God's masterpiece to do good works. Today I bless you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.